What's up, fellow nerds? My name is Stephanie, and welcome to For the Love of Nerd. Hello! It has been so long since I have actually stood in front of a camera. Now, you guys did have a little bit of a lag with videos because life has been nuts over here, but it's been months since I've actually stood in front of a camera. So, this is nice. I missed this. Let's get started. I'm so excited. Today I want to talk about books that I read in August, and I know what you're thinking. Stephanie, it's September. It's been September for weeks. Yeah, I am aware, but like I said, life has been crazy up in here, so this is the first time that I've actually had time to sit down or stand and film the books that I read in August. So that's what we're going to do today, but first I have a couple things that I want to briefly touch on. The first thing I want to briefly talk about is this very obvious change that you see going on here. We moved recently. Well, I guess it's not recently. It's been about a month or so. But we finally have stuff kind of set up where I can film. But yeah, we're in our new place with books everywhere and it's wonderful. The only problem is there's now a stray cat who lives outside. So if you guys hear Calcifer in the background, it's because he's yakking at the cat outside, and there's not a whole lot I can do to shut him up. So if you hear him, I'm sorry. There's not much you can do to make a cat be quiet. I also wanted to let you guys know that yes, I am filming in our new place today, but I do still have a backlog of videos that were filmed at our old house. So as those go up, we didn't move back in, that would be ridiculous, but just be aware that there will be some differences in some of the videos that you see because we pre-recorded a whole bunch of videos before we moved here, but I wanted to make sure that I got these videos up while, we were still relatively close to August. So that's why that's that way. Second thing I wanted to talk about, today is the 8th of September, which means the movie It comes out today. So Melissa and I will be going to see that later today, so I'm trying to film this before we actually go and see it. I'll be vlogging it. It'll be really fun. I'm really excited. I'm not sure which video is going to go up first, but just, today's the 8th and I'm like so excited to see this movie. I can't even. And for those of you who have been following all of the things that have been happening with Stephen King's books, there is going to be a new adaptation on Netflix of Gerald's Game, which is one of my favorite King books. So you guys should go check that out. I will link Stephen King's Facebook page and or Twitter down below so that you guys can go check out the trailer for that Netflix. I believe it's a movie. I don't think it's a TV show, but it looks really, really good. So if you guys are interested, you should definitely check that out because it looks amazing. And I'm over here kind of freaking out, fangirling, but none of you are really surprised, I'm sure. And for those of you who might be interested, they also did an adaptation of the Mr. Mercedes series, which was streaming on Audience, I believe it's called. And I haven't really been too interested in seeing that because I didn't really enjoy Mr. Mercedes all that much, but if it ever comes out on like DVD or some streaming service that I actually have access to, I'll probably check it out just because it's Stephen King and some of the actors look like they did a really good job, and Rotten Tomatoes actually gave it a pretty high review. So who knows, maybe I'll check it out, but if you guys are interested, that's something that is currently airing, so you guys can go look at that if you so desire. Lots of Stephen King news going on. It's really exciting. Thirdly, Josh is not dead. I swear. He's been really busy lately, and this is more of my thing, something that I wanted to do, but he will be back. I promise. I will get him into another video soon. I have an idea that I'm wanting to include him on. So he's not dead. I swear. He will be back. I just wanted you guys to know that because I know he hasn't been in a lot of videos recently, but he is still alive, I promise. Fourthly, those of you guys who stuck around because I promised you things other than books like nerdy unboxings and board game reviews, those things will still be happening. I haven't forgotten about them. It's just life has been really crazy, like I said, and that sort of thing takes a lot of time and effort, and I just haven't been able to get to it yet. But I promise I will. So don't despair. It's coming. I promise. Last thing, and then we'll get on to the books that I read in August. This has been a very recent development that's happened yesterday, and I'm so excited. I went up to everyone at work and Josh and people that he worked with and was telling them about it because I was so excited. My favorite YouTuber, Markiplier, I've talked about him a couple times, although not in great detail. He's going on tour, and one of his tour stops next month is going to be really, really close to us. So yesterday I went and I got tickets. So Josh and I are officially going to see Markiplier's You're Welcome tour. I will link his channel down below so that you guys can check him out, see what he's about. I really love watching Markiplier, and I am so excited to be able to go and see him on tour. So that's something that I'm really excited about, wanted to share it with you guys. All right, enough of my yakking. You guys came here for books, and that's what I'm going to deliver. So let's get into the books that I read in the month of August. For those of you who have been paying attention to my channel, you'll know that this month I participated in the Tome Topple Readathon, and I had an absolute blast doing that. And I managed to read some really big books. A lot of the books I'm going to talk today were from that readathon, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I'll link my wrap up for the Tome Topple down below, so that if you guys want to check that out, you can go look at that. But I did read, I think I read one other book besides the ones I read for the readathon. So let's get into it. Like I said, if you guys have been following my channel at all, you'll know that I finished The Dark Tower during the Tome Topple readathon. So I have officially completed the Dark Tower series. I'm working my way through The Wind Through the Keyhole right now, which is sort of like a companion novel. It was written after the series was completed, so I'm going to finish that. I'm also planning on doing a review of the series for those of you who are interested in knowing more. I know with the movie that came out, everyone was kind of really interested in the series and what it was about, so I want to break it down for you guys in case you're interested in checking these out. Again, if you've been following this channel at all, you'll know that I finished The Blood of Olympus, which is the last book in the Heroes of Olympus series. And a lot of people that I watch on YouTube and follow on Goodreads were really disappointed with this book as a series finale, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great wrap up to the series. So really, really pleased with how the series went. I'm really happy that I listened to it on audiobook. I had a great time listening to it. So if you are looking for something that's a little younger and maybe not as intense, this is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have Orange Volume 1, and this is another book that I read for the Tome Topple. Like I said in my wrap up, this is not a manga series that I probably would have picked up on my own. I actually found this book because Jesse the Reader, who is a booktuber, he recommended this series, and I trust his opinion, so I picked it up, and it was a lot more in depth than I thought it was going to be. It dealt with a lot of serious subjects, which I was not expecting. So if you guys are interested in reading this, it does deal with some difficult topics, and I thought that it was a really good portrayal of some of the mental health issues that people deal with, and I thought that they dealt with sensitive subject matter very well. But just keep that in mind if you're thinking about reading this. One thing that I really appreciate about this series is that it's so short. And I know that sounds weird because a lot of people want their series to go on, but with manga, sometimes I feel like it can be too long, like there's too much to the story, if that makes sense. Like it's drawn out way too much. There's this volume of Orange, and then there's a second volume, and that's it. And it has a storyline that's wonderful and beautiful, and it fleshes out the storyline, and then it lets well enough alone and doesn't beat the storyline to death. And I appreciate that so, so much. That's one of my biggest problems with manga, is that they just draw out the story for no reason. Well, it feels like no reason. But this, nice and short, beautiful, sensitive. I loved it. If you guys are looking for an introduction to manga with something that's a little more touching and heartfelt, this is probably the one for you. And the last book that I read for the Tome Topple Readathon was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And I realize I haven't been saying author names. I apologize. I'll put the names below the other books because I'm just all over the place today. But this is a young adult novel that takes place in space, and that's all I want you guys to know about it, because it's so much more satisfying if you go into this book not knowing anything. So I had a great time reading this. Like I said, I read it for the Tome Topple Readathon, and I'm really excited to pick up the next book and read that. So if you guys are looking for a young adult that doesn't necessarily feel like a young adult, like it definitely feels more mature, this is a good way to go because there's definitely some more mature content in it. And the last book I read in the month of August was not for the Tome Topple because it was a extremely short and fast read. I read Wendys Button Box by Stephen King. This is a novella. I think it's only like 160 pages or so. It's really short. I sat down, I read it in one sitting. That's how short it is. This is a story of a girl named Wendy, and one day she meets a man in black and he gives her a button box. And that's all I'm going to say about it. That's all you really need to know. That's all I knew going in. I loved this. I read it while I was in the middle of reading House of Leaves, which is very dense and complex. And this was just a breath of fresh air, but still it made me think and ponder things, which I really, really appreciated. This is one where it's still Stephen King, so it's definitely not for children. It's definitely on the lighter side of some of the things that Stephen King has written. So while it still has some mature content, it's not, you know, which I wouldn't recommend to just anyone. I'd have to know that they were kind of okay with blood and gore and, you know, sex and violence and that sort of thing. But this one is definitely more toned down than some of the other King books that I've read, and I would probably recommend this one to people who don't read King all the time. So if you're looking for a gateway into the Stephen King world, this is a good one to start with because it's so short and breezy and thought-provoking. And that is going to do it for this video today. It's been so wonderful to be back in front of the camera. I missed you guys. But if you guys like what you saw here, please like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, spread the love of the nerd. I'm really, really enjoying this YouTube channel, and I hope you guys are too. As always, may your books be many and your interruptions few. Bye, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the I don't know. No.
Here are some videos of series have watched I found on the web. Take a look.
I swear to you, my phone is possessed. I'll just be, you know, sitting around doing nothing, watching a video, and they'll say something that sounds sort of like Siri, and then she'll just, well, I'm switched it to a he, but he'll just pop up and be like, hey, this is this. And I'm like, I don't care.